Good day, YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. We got those pieces on that we were working on last week. All the pewter stuff got painted gold and used some E6000 to glue them in place. Got everything to fit, and that was tough because there was a lot of, ended up grinding a little bit off the back of the horse and off the back of the head part there of the chair to get it to fit. But we got her in there, so we're on to the next step. And as I'm prepping for the next step, I'm looking forward in the plans to see what it wants me to do next. And we got to place some 2mm by 5mm that we shape down to be the top of the railing, and it's going to go there, and I think here and here and here and so on. And the shaping, it's got this profile that we drug on it. We got to paint it though before I cut it. And that profile is this one down there in the left corner, 2mm by 5mm, raised edge and a little bump in the middle. And we've, the first one, after we shaped it, we got it wet, and then we put it in the bending tool here, the heating iron, and between the moisture and the heating iron we were able to get that shape bent in there. It's a pretty thick piece of wood to be bending that much. So now, according to our plans there, this bend may not be enough, so I'm going to look at pre-fitting this, because we may have to bend it more. Yep, it's got to get a little tighter radius to fit like they want us to. So we got to bend it some more with a tighter radius. And then it gets, the edge of it I think gets painted before we glue it on there. Yeah, it wants us to paint, leave the middle, probably paint that yellow, and the outside part blue. Yep, that's going to be a little tricky. And then we got these pieces painted gold, but we got to paint the blue in that little triangle shape there. And we got them painted gold, not yellow, but gold. Now we got to do the blue on them. So I'll do the blue the same time as I'm doing the blue on these. But we got to bend that a little bit more. And you can see they're having us put little short pieces of the railing top on there in between them bumps. So we'll have to put an angle on the end of them to cut a little miter on there so that they fit in between those little bumps. It looks like we're doing all the way down the tops of the railings, all the way down the ship. We've already done the round holes on the other side, and we've already done these other two figurines on the back. And now we got to do them railings, and then we'll go to this step here. So let's heat this up a little more and bend it some more. Takes about 2 or 3 minutes for that thing to get good and hot. And because I need more of a bend, maybe I can lay something in there to make it tighter on this bend. That is going to be a little tricky to get that to close up some more. I should have enough length there to do both sides. Yeah, it'll be close, but it'll be enough for this piece to do both sides, and then this piece to do some of the straight ones. But that probably won't be enough. I'll have to shape another board. So I need to figure out how much of that I need and get it all shaped and ready to paint. Yeah, there's some more in there. 2 millimeters by 5 millimeters. All right, let me see if I can figure out a way to get this tighter bend here. All right, so we got the tighter bend done on those two, and I labeled them port and starboard. 1 and 2. And then we've pre-shaped some other pieces. This one is labeled scrap because it's a cutoff from my next measurements: 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then some more scrap. See a big piece of scrap there and a piece of scrap there. But all of them had the profile cut into them using that 2 by 5 millimeter profile and dragging that across there. I'm going to clamp one side with the clamp and then drag this tool across there, and you can see where the edge of the tool was cutting into the table next to the board I was shaping that shape on. And little piles of sawdust come off of it as I'm shaping it. Get that profile in there. So now we got to paint them all. And it does have the yellow in the middle and then blue on the edge. So I got a good selection of brushes here. Let's see what we can do for... I hate to try to tape that off, but to make it look good, we gotta do some trial and error on these little pieces. But it definitely has 2 different colors of paint there, the middle and the edge. So we got to try to duplicate that. Good luck. Okay, we got the yellow in the middle. Now the trick is going to be trying to get blue along that yellow in a crisp line. You can see the yellow went over the top edge just a little bit where the blue is, but that's okay because blue's a darker color. It should cover it, but I wiped it off if it got real bad. But I think if we can keep a nice crisp line on the blue to match that profile cut that's there. I'm going to try to use this brush right here. I might even go smaller and just do it on the side first with blue, and then come back and try to do a smaller brush. I don't know yet. What do you think? It'd be nice just to take a blue magic marker. Not going to be easy. So that's what the bent railing looks like. Got that painted up and glued on. That's the first one I painted after the yellow. Just did the blue oil base. A little bit of touch up to do in there, but went ahead and painted all the rest of the little pieces. Got the gold and the blue and the full lengths. We got it cut and fit, and they're all marked on the back where they go. So as we cut away, we'll use them up. But we got to go there, 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 here, 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 and the same thing in the front. So these pieces are going to have a little 15-degree miter, or whatever that degrees is there, to hug that curve a little bit. And this is going to be more than 45. I think that's going to be probably 75 degrees or something like that. That almost is a 90. So 80 or 90, and then these two are a little less, but we'll fit those. I'm going to cut them ahead of time a little extra long. That's what I'm saving all the scrap for, because there's scrap in between these full length pieces, and we'll use the scrap on these little short pieces. We can cut them extra long and then sand them to fit. So that's what the blue looks like on there. I was able to use a where'd my brush go? I just had it out. Yeah, here. Able to use this, put it against that white background there, and that worked really good on putting that blue along that top edge without getting it into the yellow, and then mush it to the side, because the side is completely covered. So that did the trick. I was gonna try one of these other ones, but the spread on the hairs, once you start laying the paint on there and you got a blob of paint on the end of your brush, it was too much, and this would only accept a little bit of paint, and that's all I need. So I would do like an inch at a time at the top edge and the side, and get some more paint. Not too much, because if you dip it in to the paint, you get too much on there. So you got to have a little palette so you control how much is on the end of the brush. But tedious, but it's going to look good, I think. Okay, while we're waiting for the glue to dry, or the paint to dry on those railing tops, I went to the next step, and it had us make 9 little posts out of some 2x2 stock. And you see how that head on there is knurled around it. There's a little cut rounded in there. So I just used the drill press after I got them cut to length, using one as a template to make them all the same. Grab two together at the same time with the one end flush, and I can cut the next one, use the same one over and over again for the template. Then stick them in the drill press and just slightly clamp down on them, and then as it's turning, come in there with this triangle shaped edge, which is a little less than 45 degrees, or probably more than 45 degrees. But I cut that little head on there, and that's the same process we did for these posts also. Was that in the drill press, and then while it's spinning. So I just put a little bit of glue on the neck of the post, and then slid it down in there, and used a little piece of wood like this to wipe off the excess around it and let it dry. So this railing piece is just clamped up here with the rubber band. I did do the piece underneath it, so it's not glued to the floor yet, because when we bring in the railing pieces, it wants us to miter this corner on both sides at 45 degrees, and after that it wants us to put these little wedges in there. So I got to paint these blue before I stick them in there, but I got to let that dry, and these are nice and straight and all at the right height. I got this weight on there because the rubber bands are pulling up on the middle a little bit, but that's okay as long as it lays down on there once we get ready to glue it in place. So I'm going to let these dry because that's oil base, that blue paint. And before we can put these little pieces on here, the railing top has got to be on first. So we'll get all them railing tops on after this dries and miter this corner. So that's going to take, I'll be working on that next week, because here it is Friday already. Got the last load of dirt this morning, filled up my last bin. Nice cool day out today, the second time we've had some cold air come into Florida. It's probably about 70 right now, but we got the last bins filled up with dirt and mixed with cow manure and mill organite, potting soil, vermiculite, and peat moss. So like 5 different things mixed in with that dirt. Should help us. That's how we did these other bins too. So I would go on to the next step after this. You can see how they're mitering into that railing at 45 degrees. But the next step after this is more posts and railings to hold baling pins. And a whole bunch of them. There's 2 there on the bow, 1 on the bow deck. So I'm gonna wait until I get caught up on these railing tops before I go on to that. And it looks like some more decorations in the back. As we do have the top part done, now it's going to want us to do the middle and the bottom. But we'll finish these railings and we got that done. Got all those installed. So we got those ready and painted. So let's just get the railings finished up before we go on to something new. Them baling pin racks. And then I want to look in the pictures of the book, or the pictures on the CD, and see if this gets painted or not before we go putting on baling pin racks up here. As the box doesn't show the front, and I know there's some pictures somewhere on the CD, I gotta dig them out. So thanks for watching.